All right, hey guys and gals. Today we're going to factor a trinomial. Some of y'all have already seen this. Some of this might be new to you, but it's a process that if you follow the steps, it's going to seem pretty difficult at first, but if you'll follow the steps, the more you do, the easier it gets, and some of y'all will even be able to find some shortcuts in this. As always, we look for a greatest common factor first. Is there a number that goes into all three of these terms? Well, the fact that the number in front of that x squared is really a 1, then this doesn't have a numerical greatest common factor because the only two factors of 1 are 1 and 1. So now we look, is there a letter or a variable that all three of these terms have? And they do not. This one has an x, this one has an x, but this last one does not have an x. So there is not a greatest common factor. So next we're going to do something that's called the A times C method. Stick with me and you'll eventually figure out when you really need to use A times C and when you don't. But for right now, we're going to use A times C on this one. Well, first of all, what is A times C? Well, A is the number in front of the x squared. B is the number in front of the x, and then C is the constant or the number without a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and up top I'm going to say that my B equals 5, and you'll see why we're doing that here in a second. And then I need to know what A times C is. So I'm going to take A, which in this case is 1, times C, which is 6, and 1 times 6 is 6. Next, we're going to list all of the factors of 6, but when I do this, I'm going to do it twice. 1 and 6, 1 and 6. So 1 times 6 gives me 6, but I listed it twice, and I'll tell you why we do that here in a sec. Next, I've got 2 times 3. 2 times 3 equals 6, but I'm going to list it twice. And I'm finished. That are all of my factors of 6. Now, the fact that this 6 is positive tells me what I'm going to do with my positives and my negatives. The fact that this number here is positive. When I did A times C, I got a positive number. That tells me that both of my numbers need to be the same sign. Positive 1 times positive 6 gives me 6. But then also, negative 1 times negative 6 will give me 6. Positive 2 and positive 3, and negative 2 and negative 3. So basically you'll see the pattern. If you list them twice, make your first set positive, your second set negative, your next set of numbers positive, your next set of numbers negative. Okay, so now we're looking for the combination here, or when I add these two columns, which one will give me positive 5? Well, 1 plus 6 gives me 7. That's not what I'm looking for. Negative 1 plus negative 6 gives me negative 7. That's not what I'm looking for. Positive 2 plus positive 3 gives me 5. That is what I'm looking for. So plus 2 plus 3, if I add those, gives me 5. That tells me my answer is going to look like that right there. I'm going to put the term or the variable that I'm dealing with, and I'm dealing with x. So I'm going to put x there, and then I'm going to put plus 2 and plus 3. Those are the two numbers that my combination that gave me 5. So that's why I use plus 2 or plus 3. And in this situation, I am finished. That is my final answer. A quick check, do x times x. Do the first term times the first term, and you should get this term right here. And we do. X times x gives me x squared. So we're good on that one. Now let's do one where my A times C is not a positive number. Let me figure this out. I need to create one real quick. So let's do x squared plus 4x minus 12. Let me make sure that one's going to work. Let me do it in my head real quick. Yes, so this one will work. Okay, so this is the one we're going to do now. So the only difference is when I do my A times C, that's my B right there. When I do my A, which is 1, times my C, which is negative 12, my A times C gives me a negative number now. The one up here gave me a positive. This one gives me a negative. I'm going to list that my B equals 4 again. Next up, I'm going to list all of my factors of 12. I'm not worried about the negative right now. I'll deal with that in a second. So I've got 1 and 12. I've got 2 and 6. Again, I'm going to list them all twice. I've got 3 and 4. All right, so now we got to deal with this negative, because a positive 1 times a positive 12 doesn't give me negative 12. So I need one of these numbers to be negative. So I'm going to make that one a negative. So on the next one, I want the other number to be negative. So if I multiply both of these things together, they're both going to give me negative 12. 2 times 6, well, that gives me positive 12. I need one of them to be negative. So you'll see what I'm going to do is I'm going to zigzag my negatives throughout my factors. Okay? Next step is the same. I'm looking for the combination, or when I add these two columns, which one's going to give me what my B is, which is 4, positive 4. Okay, well, negative 1 plus 12 gives me a positive 11, not what I'm looking for. 1 plus a negative 12 gives me a negative 11, not what I'm looking for. A negative 2 and a positive 6 gives me a positive 4. That's what I'm looking for. So my answer is going to be X as my first term in both sets of parentheses. And it's going to be minus 2 and a plus 6. I got these two numbers with the signs from what I used down here. And again, a quick check. X times X gives me X squared, so I'm probably right. If you wanted to completely see if you were right, you could check by doing the box method. X times X is X squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2X. 6 times 6 is 6X. 6 times negative 2 is 12, negative 12. Combine like terms, 6x and negative 2x gives me a positive 4x minus 12. That should be what I started with, and it is, so I know that that is my correct answer. But again, let's be honest, how many of y'all are going to go through the box method and check the whole thing? None of y'all, or very few of y'all. So just check the first two terms, x, or the first term in each parentheses, x times x. As long as it gives you that right there, then you're probably right. Thanks for watching. There'll be other videos posted showing you what to do when this number right here is not 1. Good luck. Let us know if you have any questions.